Hurricane Isabel was the costliest and deadliest hurricane in the 2003 Atlantic hurricane season, but it didn't start out that way. It started out as a low-pressure system off the east coast of Africa on September 1st. Convection within that low-pressure system increased as it passed over the Cape Verde Islands, and it officially became a tropical depression on September 6, 2003. It strengthened quickly, and hours later, it was officially formed into Tropical Storm Isabel. Light wind shear and warm waters allowed Isabel to become better organized as it moved in a northwesterly direction, becoming a hurricane on September 7th. A 60-kilometer eye quickly began to form, and major hurricane status was reached on September 8th, while it was still 1,300 miles northeast of the Caribbean islands. After reaching Hurricane 4 status on September 9th, Hurricane Isabel weakened slightly but rallied and attained Hurricane 5 status on September 11th. With 165-mile-an-hour winds, it maintained either a Category 4 or 5 status for the remainder through September 15th. On September 13th, astronaut Ed Lu was able to capture this amazing view of the expanse of Hurricane Isabel from the International Space Station. He was also able to zoom in and capture this view of the actual eye of Hurricane Isabel on September 13th, while it was still a Category 4 status. At the same time, Hurricane Isabel was being analyzed by the TRMM satellites, taking a look at the hurricane's rainfall patterns. On the image at the left, you can see heavy rains denoted by the brown-red colors. This indicates a very strong hurricane early in the morning on September 15th. However, by 24 hours later, on September 16th, rainfall had decreased significantly, the eye began to break down, and Hurricane Isabel began to completely break apart, so that by the time September 16th rolled around, it was downgraded to a meager Category 2 hurricane. Still, however, 645 miles away from the coastline of North America. Hurricane Isabel, at this point, a hurricane watch was issued for a large section of the East Coast from South Carolina to West Virginia, and a tropical storm watch was issued to as far north as New Jersey. Mandatory evacuations were ordered, which led to hundreds of thousands of North Carolinians and Virginians evacuating. 19 major airports were closed. 1,500 flights were canceled. Schools and businesses were shut, and the U.S. Navy ordered the removal of 40 ships and submarines and dozens of aircraft from around Norfolk, Virginia. Hurricane Isabel turned ashore on September 18, 2003, between Cape Lookout and Okeechobee Island in North Carolina. Although weakened significantly from making landfall, it maintained its fast-forward motion and moved through Virginia rapidly. Depositing significant amounts of rainfall as it went. With nearly 20 inches falling in Virginia alone, the area was swamped with water. It continued its onward march, and by late in the day on September 19th, it was already over western Pennsylvania and having been downgraded to an extratropical storm. It continued moving northward, crossing Lake Erie late in the day on September 19th, and eventually being absorbed into an upper storm tropical system in Canada by September 20th. Landfall damage in the area was extensive. Where it actually made landfall, barrier islands were broken, and extensive damage to homes was done. In the end, Isabel left 6 million without electricity, and wind and storm surge resulted in $3.6 billion in damages, and 51 deaths and 16 directly related to the storm. Although it was not the most major of hurricanes to ever hit the United States, it was still a significant storm.